The Utah Jazz were absolutely spectacular, almost perfect on opening night. We discuss next on Locked on Jazz.
You are Locked on Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
How are you? I am David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz, Jazz NBA insider. This is Locked on Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz, giving you insight, expertise, geeky numbers, making it way better. Hopefully. No, today it's just making it way better to be a Jazz fan. Each and every day, absolutely spectacular performance last night by the Jazz. To the everydayers out there, first, thank you for making Locked on Jazz your first listen of the day. We are free and available on all podcasting apps and on YouTube. And to the everydayers out there, you're the best. Thank you very much. Wow, what an insane night absolutely out of nowhere. 10.5-point dogs and up 22 minutes and 19 seconds left in the first quarter. Incredible performance last night. Special thank you to everybody at the arena who stopped by, used our system to listen to the broadcast and the feedback we've gotten on it. We will continue to do that on home games. Thank you to all of you who listened on SEG Jazz Plus for the first time. They had radio and Spanish on that, which is super cool. Caroline Carr behind the streaming doing great work with her staff there. So super cool to see that take place. Panic sets in, realizes he doesn't have any water with a tired voice. We'll see how we do here. Absolutely. So thank you to everyone. Fun, incredible night. The jersey exchange had thousands of people there. It was wild. The purple carpet the Jazz did was super fun before the game. What a night. Let's get into it. That was near perfection. The Jazz, who were last in the league defensively, were in on every ball, making contact, reaching in, impacting, hustle plays right and left. They finished the night with 19 deflections. I don't think that the NBA lets me, but I will try. It does not. To sort that throughout the night. But Kessler had 4. Svi had 3. Keonte had 2. Brice had 3. Lowry had 2 deflections. Yusuf Nurkic had 2. Ace had 1. Taylor had 1. Clayton had 1. I was literally at a practice where that's what they were working on. They're literally working on getting their hands on the ball and deflecting the ball. The Jazz last year were last in the NBA in deflections. The defensive physicality and pressure, talking to the coaching staff before the game, they were most concerned about the physicality of the Clippers and just thought their young guys wouldn't be ready for it. Instead, I don't know if let me rephrase that. Thought their young guys would just be surprised by it. And then it was going to be a question of, how did they react? Instead, it was the Jazz who brought the physicality, knocked the Clippers out of their game, stymied kind of whatever the Clippers were trying to do, and then just back cutting, moving all the time, body movement, had the Clippers a team that had not played a lot together in the preseason, absolutely discombobulated. The first quarter really was perfection. The first quarter, the Jazz offensively shot 16 of 20. They were 12 of 12 on twos, 4 of 8 from 3, had 7 steals defensively. The Jazz did not have a double-digit steal game at any point last season and had 7 steals in the first quarter last night. Every single player of the 10 Jazz players that played in the first quarter, plus minus, was 10 or more. I mean, this was truly, truly, truly perfect basketball. And the guy who led it the most to me was Keonte. Now, hard to choose one guy there. But Keontae's 8 minutes in the first quarter had 5 assists, 1 turnover, only 3 shot attempts. With the return of Taylor, with the drafting of Ace Bailey, probably the least talked about story that should be talked about is Keonte George moving back into the starting lineup in his 3rd year for the Utah Jazz. The other 2 things that jumped out to me about the first quarter, and this is a weird one. When you're that perfect, you kind of look to see. It was that Svi Mykhailiuk, who likes to shoot, Brice Sensabaugh, who likes to shoot, and Taylor Hendricks, who in his first game back and probably wanted to make an impact, all played over 5 minutes and all didn't take a shot. That, to me, I know that's a little weird. No one else is talking about that today, either because I'm stupid and crazy or because I just look at things differently. To me, that's Kyle Filipowski, 5 minutes, didn't take a shot. That's a sign that everyone was playing together. That wasn't one of our guys being on the floor for a certain amount of time and feeling they had to take a shot. I don't want to turn this into an indictment, but the 3 guys that left the roster all did that every single game they ever played. Like, that's a fact. I'd ask them. They probably agree with me. Like, I mean, if we go look at all 3 of them and see how many shots they took per minutes played last night. Right? Like, they get shots. That's what those 3 guys did. The thing I've been talking about by being around this team this year is that as great of guys as John, Colin, and Jordan were, they took the oxygen in the room. And when these guys left and the youngsters, led by Keonte, had a summer together, they grasped the oxygen. They grasped the team. Keonte and Brice and the guys feel ownership of the purple they're wearing right now. They're connected to it. And that's give Will Hardy some credit. He sat down with them and was like, no one's coming to bail you guys out. This is your deal. This is on you now. No one's coming. No Cooper Flag. No veteran. Like, this is you. And they all stayed all summer. Isaiah, who's not a part of it right now just because of the hamstring, but hopefully back soon. And they all bonded together, built a chemistry, worked hard, and have established themselves as a group. We'll see whether last night's like a one-off. And if it is, like, fine, that was incredible. I will say I have a hard time believing. Well, I have a hard time believing 2 things. I'll bet you if I look through the history of the game, there aren't a lot of teams who win 20 games that win by 30 early. Now, we only won by 20. But winning by 20 is a big deal. Like, I'll bet you if you go back and find teams that have won 20 or 25 games and you go back through their first 20 games of the year, I'll bet you they don't win by 20 anywhere in that process. Maybe I'm wrong. It's just one night and that's all we have. But the ownership's going to be real all year. These guys are connected together. Will's been talking about it all year, that they're willing to give each other criticism. They're willing to talk to each other. They're willing to have honest talks with each other. There's a bond that has happened here because no criticism to them, but because they left the room. And then we saw it on the court. We saw togetherness. We saw ball movement. They had 12 assists on 16 field goals in the first quarter. They had 13 assists on 19 field goals that's the Clippers. They had 22 assists on 28 field goals at halftime. 22 assists on 28 field goals. And then the third quarter, they decided to double down, and they had 11 assists on 12 field goals in the third quarter. They played as a collective group with an incredible energy, and they just blasted a team that is supposed to be really good. They blasted them. The most impressive stretch of the game to me, and the most impressive overall thing to me from the Jazz in a blowout performance last night. Next on Locked On Jazz. Today's show is brought to you in part by Mint Mobile. We're going to twist your thinking a little bit here, because we want you to get ready to say yes to saying no. Yeah, deep philosophical stuff here when we're talking about Mint Mobile. We're getting you ready to say yes to say no. Make the switch at mintmobile.com/lockedonnba. No to all of the extra fees. No to all the extra garbage. No to all the extra things that are out there that people charge you for. Instead, it's making it cheaper, more reliable, more affordable. It's all at Mint Mobile. That's right. Basically, say no to overpaying. Mint Mobile's favorite word is no. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. So say yes to making the switch to get premium wireless for just $15. Mint makes it simple. All plans come with high-speed data, unlimited talk and text, delivering the nation's largest 5G network, and you can bring your own phone and keep your same numbers and contacts. Ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch to mintmobile.com/lockedonnba. That's mintmobile.com/lockedonnba. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 a month. Limited time, new customer offer for just 3 months only. Speeds may slow over 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. Today's show is also brought to you by Rouge. Let's be real, making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've all heard it before. It's just stress. I'm tired. It happens to everyone sometimes. When it comes to performance, something your body just needs a little extra support, and that's where Rouge comes in. Rouge.com offers fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. Rouge makes it easier to get started. You can connect with board-certified doctor, 100% online, no awkward waiting rooms, no in-person appointments. If prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly straight to your door. The process is fast and simple and private, and it's handled by real doctors. It's about confidence, connection, and getting back to the moments that matter. Visit rouge.com/lockedonnba to get 15% off your first order. That's rouge.com/lockedonnba. Don't forget to use our code LOCKEDONNBA so they know we sent you. Rouge, stop making excuses. Start making moves. Let me try that again. Thanks so much for making Locked On Jazz your first listen of the day. We are free and available on all podcasting apps. And thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network there is. Thank you. All right, the two parts that were most impressive to me. And then I want to dig into, there's some fun numbers to dig into. Like, there's some interesting stuff here. So the #1 thing that's most impressive to me on the night is the Jazz never flinched. They went up 20 with 2:17 left in the second quarter. The game got to 19 and never got closer. That's crazy. The Clippers never made a run. In a day and age of three-point shooting and everything else, the Clippers never made a run. Now, that could be a statement of the Clippers, disconnect with too many players. We'll discuss that at some point. I'm going to just give the Jazz credit for it, for never breaking focus and never letting go. And I thought that was absolutely the most impressive thing. Like, there just wasn't a gap of focus. They didn't miss a moment. They really stayed into it. If we look at the advanced metrics numbers on this one, and we look at offense in the first quarter, the offensive rating was a 160 and the defensive rating was a 73. League average, by the way, is about 110. In the second quarter, their offensive rating was a 152, so just as good. And the defensive rating was a 116.7. In the third quarter, their offensive rating was a 130, and their defensive rating was a 137. So by the end of that third quarter, they were just playing even. And in the fourth quarter, the game was over, so it doesn't really matter. The stretch of the game that I was most impressed with was the opening of the third. In the opening of the third quarter, the Jazz lead by a ton going into and the Clippers you would think are going to make a little bit of a surge, like you would think. And the Jazz just kind of take it back in control. Marketing gets an offensive rebound. Filipowski gets an offensive rebound. You can just see the Hyluk gets a steal that leads to a flip dunk. And you can just see that Walker's pretty dominant. Keonte blows by a defender with 6 minutes left to make it 94-58, and it's over. Like, there's a timeout in there somewhere by Ty Lue, and it's like, oh, that's over. Like, they didn't stretch the lead at all. Maybe a little. I mean, I think they were up 79-47 at halftime. Crazy. Maybe 78-47. Like, crazy. And they stretch it out to, I think, finally it gets up to 25-27. It's up 27 on Filipowski's dunk, and, like, it's over. That's it. 7:45 left, third quarter. Filipowski gets a dunk off of a Hyluk steal and a Keonte assist, and it's over. The game is over with 7:45 left in the third quarter. And the Clippers call timeout, and they're beaten. And so the most impressive thing to me the whole night is the Jazz didn't flinch. The single most impressive moment is when they threw the knockout punch to open the third quarter and just blasted them. And just were like, no, we're not going to relent here. All right, I want to look at a few things here numbers wise, and then we can talk about some of the individual performances. But there are a few things. First of all, the Jazz had the best offense of any team in the NBA last night with a 140 offensive rating. And the defense was overall really good at 106.9. Like, that's crazy. Jazz shooting percentage was 67% effective field goal percentage. That means if they had taken only twos, they would have shot 67%. That was the best of any team in the NBA. And then to add on to it, they got 36% of their offensive rebounds, which is a crazy high number. The number that Will Hardy's going to like the most is the Clippers only took 11 shots at the rim the whole night. Now, the Jazz only took 9. And this gets a little sketchy on this data because so much of this is determined by what the hometown scorers do. And when you see a game where both teams don't get any shots at the rim, my first instinct is that's because the scorekeepers, the Golden State Warriors scorekeepers, call nothing at the rim. So this is a little bit of a sketchy data point. But conceptually, if this is accurate, the Jazz only allowed 11 shots at the rim last night. Last year, the Jazz were one of the worst teams in the NBA at denying shots at the rim. And this gets to the whole conversation about Walker Kessler, frankly, and what he is defensively. If the Jazz last year were 27th in the league in allowing shots at the rim, what impact is Walker having? Last night, the Jazz as a collective group, and Walker particularly, did not let the Clippers get to the rim. It was really impressive. They cut him off all the time at the rim and then forced him to kick it back out and made the Clippers, who took the fewest amount of catch and shoot threes in the NBA last year, become a jump shooting team. And that's really not who the Clippers are. So that was super impressive. That's a Will Hardy emphasis here. Like, if we're going to lose games, I don't mind if we lose from the jump shot. But the Jazz last night, now the Clippers went 11 of 11 at the rim. So we'll see on that. Jazz, the 3-point shooting last night was nothing spectacular. And frankly, one of the stories I think of this season is going to be that everyone shoots threes now. Like, I don't think there's going to be a team that has a wide-ranging 3-point advantage over other teams. All right, here's some things I thought were really interesting as we try to figure out this Jazz team. We only had 26 plays last night, according to Synergy Sports, that ended in pick and roll. We weren't actually particularly good at it either. Our pick and roll game was not particularly good last night. It was 0.81 points per game. We showed some really interesting variety. We had 9 off-ball screens, 11 handoffs, 23 spot-ups, which we hit our shots at an alarmingly high rate, 1.5. But we also had 16 cuts. Last year, we were really good on cuts. And that was what happened last night, was that the Jazz had a cutting game going, and I'm going to analyze it and have more of it for you tomorrow. That was elite. Abs was truly spectacular. And there's some plays where I talked about on the postcast, so I got to see if I can find them, where I felt like the Jazz send multiple cutters in the same plane. And I'm not sure I've seen that before. And it was really interesting to see to see the Jazz run that and make those plays and do those kind of things. Because I think that's a change Will Hardy's made that's causing some of this to take place. It was very impressive. Here's one that we can keep an eye on this year. And that is the pace of play the Jazz play with. There was a lot of talk post-game, and all the newspaper articles were really about how the Jazz took advantage of their youth and played a faster, quicker game than the Clippers. I'm curious about this because I didn't necessarily think this to be what I saw during the game, if I'm being completely transparent about it. That it's not entirely what I saw, but just let's put this in context for a second. Last year, the Jazz pace of play after a made shot was 22nd in the NBA, and after a turnover was 5th. But they keep an interesting stat, which is time across half court. And talking to Will yesterday before the game, Will basically said, like, he would like their time across half court and their time across half court and their time into their first action to be about half of what last year was, which would be really quite incredible. But last night, the Jazz time across half court was 4.25 seconds, which is middle of the pack for the NBA. But this is where this, like, are we seeing a change? The Jazz are younger and playing faster. Is that a year ago, the Utah Jazz were 4.5. So you're not going to cut it by 2 seconds. But when we're only talking 4 seconds, the Jazz just cut it by a quarter, 0.25. Doesn't seem like a lot, but of the range of what you can do, it's actually a little bit of something. It's a sign. Let's put it that way. Our first action time last year was 6.5 seconds. It's not a lot. Like, I didn't think, like, I guess I'm saying two out of both sides of my mouth here. On one level, I thought that some of the talk after the game about this, that we just played that much faster and that much quicker and we're so much younger than the Clippers. I didn't see that. I just thought we were better than them. We just played harder. Maybe that's the same thing. But the other one that's interesting to this is the time to first, so that we were a little quicker across half court last night. This is one game sample size. The time to our first action was the exact same as a year ago. Our possession length, the amount of time we had the ball in our possession, was nearly, this is a crazy amount, a second longer. Longer. Not shorter, longer. That's what I saw last night. I saw a team willing to move the ball, no one getting it caught, no one looking for their shot, getting into their actions and playing the possession through and making an older Clipper team continue to move defensively and be slicing and moving, being always looking for something better instead of looking for mine. And that jumps out to me as the difference in what I saw yesterday. The cuts, less pick and roll immediately into a shot. Pick and roll seemed very sparse last night. More off ball, more actions, giving it to Walker. One cutter goes, another cutter goes. Walker patiently waiting to see what happens next. Gets the bailout to Keonte. They set something else up. They're very patient, mature. If cutters are there, Walker hits them. I saw longer possessions, more maturity, and more togetherness. That's what I saw. Not necessarily this incredible youthful energy, speed, quick possession thing last night. And the data backed that up. That's why I looked it up. That's why I love that. That's why I love data. It's because I looked at it, thought one thing, read all the articles, maybe misunderstood the articles, but this idea that we were youthfully faster, we were just more active, more committed. All right, individual performances and a thought or two on whether the Clippers are in serious trouble. Today's show is brought to you by Skims. It's travel day, so I'm wearing my Skims. Like, that's just the simple thing for me. They're the most comfortable underwear I have. And then when I travel, I'm wearing Skims. When I found about Skims underwear for men, I was intrigued. The women were like, in my house, were fired up when I was getting Skims sent to me. Heard so much about the quality from friends, family, and what Skims has done. And I'm telling you, the hype is real. The fit, the comfort, the right style. Skims has changed that all. And literally, when it's a travel day and you don't want to get scrunched up or whatever you want to call it on the travel, that's what I go to. The men's line offers something for everyone, from boxer briefs to classic briefs, all designed with a perfect balance in comfort and style. It's all for you there at Skims for Men. So here's your opportunity. Try it. Choose the underwear, whatever you might. I boxer briefed perfectly, whether you're for workout or the plane, running errands, just cruising around town. Reliable, feels good, lightweight material, absolutely fabulous. Check it out. Please mark podcast when you buy so that they know it's us. And check it out. Different products. 5-inch boxer brief, that's what I'm talking about. 3-inch boxer brief, stretch 3-inch boxer brief, and the cotton brief as well. All at Skims for Men. And please let them know you got it from Locked On. Will Hardy called it a complete team win, and that has led me to be a little kind of wanting to be on that, to match that, and not necessarily be talking about individuals, though Walker is worthy of talking about. Left-hand finishes at the rim, 2 threes, protecting the rim fabulously, contesting shots last night. All-around, energetic, fabulous performance. Somewhat representative of the team in that Walker stayed engaged the entire game. At Sean Sheldon at halftime, when I asked about Walker, literally said he has to keep it up the entire time. He defended 18 different shots last night. Pretty great. By the way, one of the guys deserves a little credit. I thought Svi Mihailovic played a lot of really good defense last night. In fact, funny thing is, Ace Baylor will probably move in that starting spot here very shortly. We will be less good. We will be less good because of that for right now. Like, that's just the difference between veteran and young kid. Svi was really good last night. But you have to do that. Like, that's part of the deal. And over the long term, certainly the deal. But that was an interesting thing to see last night, was that that's the level of play that you had from Svi as just a veteran playing with everyone was just absolutely fabulous. Really, really, really fabulous. And really impressive. Walker last night, back to Walker for a second, was just a beast, and going up against a guy who was as good as any center in the NBA. I mean, not Jokic, but as good as any center in the NBA last year in Zubac. Right? He was, I think, second in most improved, and 6th in defensive player of the year last year. And Walker was better than Zubac last night. That's different. Zubac was getting the best of Walker last year. Zubac had a decent night. He had 19 points, 9 of 13. I mean, but Walker was better last night. Walker's final line, 22 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 4 blocks. Most of the blocks came late. 7 of 7 from the field, 6 of 8 from the free throw line. Ron is really high on what he thinks Walker can do offensively this year. So fabulous work on that. I've mentioned it a few times, but I'll still stay into it. This is kind of what I've been telling you all offseason. Keonte was just mature. He just led fabulously last night. Other individual performances last night. I mean, Lowry is just such a threat, but the number that jumps out to me on Lowry is 5 assists. That is not who Lowry is or has been in his career. So for Lowry to be busting out a 5-assist game, like you don't find many games in Lowry's career where he gets 5 assists. And he's one of the biggest complaints when people talk about Lowry is literally that. And we go back to 23-24 in Lowry's All-Star year. Lowry had 6 assists twice in a game. He had 5 assists 8 times in a game that entire season. You go to last year, And Lowry didn't have more than 3 assists in a single game all year. You go to 22-23 with Lowry, like you've got to go back to you've got to go back to March of 2024 to find the last time Lowry had 5 assists in a basketball game. That's finding guys playing off what we have. There were some really cool plays Will Hardy ran last night. There was a play where Walker's handing off. Lowry runs a wide curl. Walker gives it to Lowry, and then Walker trails it like it's almost like a pick and roll. I don't entirely know how you defend that. I'll try to see if I can pull that for tomorrow. It was really an awesome play. I think someone got fouled, so it's going to be a hard one for me to find. The other one I would just throw out there is like, let's not dismiss the rookie point guard last night. Walter Clayton last night in 18 minutes gets 6 rebounds and 5 assists and 2 steals. Like, he'll figure out how to shoot. I'm not worried about that. He actually went 4 of 8, 1 of 3 from 3, but 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals. That's pretty great. And the final and most singular important thing of the night, Lowry 5 assists, Flip 5 assists, Walker 4 assists, Speed 3 assists, Keonte 9 assists, Brice 2 assists, Ace 2 assists, Yusuf Nurkic 3 assists, Walter Clayton 5 assists. 9 of the 10 players that played regular minutes last night had 2 or more assists. What a fabulous night. Stunning, fabulous, fun. From Sacramento tomorrow, it'll be Locked on Jazz. Now tomorrow, we take you to the first ever national 24/7 NBA channel, Locked on NBA. And check out Locked on NBA Game Night. After every game, we break them all.